Hello, am I audible? Hello,
Yeah. You're audible. Yeah.
hello. Good evening, one and all. Uh, on the behalf of AISSMS College of Pharmacy, myself, Dr. Sachin Temurne, Faculty of Pharmacology Department, welcome you all in the today's session of international webinar under the Faculty Development Program, Current Scenario, Pharmacy Practice and Technology. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Praveen Kumar Ingre. Uh, Currently, Dr. Praveen is working as a senior lecturer since 2014 in the Department of Pharmacy Practice in the School of Pharmacy, International Medical University, Malaysia. He also served as the editor-in-chief of Journal of Pharmaceutical Research and Clinical Practice, which is published under the banner of Walter Kluwer, that is a Medno publication since 2011. He is also founder and president of Hari Vishwa Education Society. He is also actively involved in the providing of community services as a IMU care home leader for the handicapped and the disabled children. Previously, Dr. Praveen has associated with the R.C. Patel Institute of Pharmacy, Shirpur, and total his experience around 14 years. Dr. Praveen has published more than 50 publications in the national and international repute journal. He also secured research grant of Ringgit Malaysia for the research project of from the University of IMU. He has also participated in more than 35 seminar conferences, workshop, training program at national and international level. He also served as an advisor for 6 international postgraduate conference on the pharmaceutical sciences 2018 held at International Medical University, Malaysia. Dr. Praveen is actively involved in designing, developing, and curriculum review and mapping and content delivery of our program of Master in Pharmacy Practice, and also contributed to other healthcare program. Apart from his teaching and administrations, he's also involved in developing the teaching tools, teaching and coordinating the other academic activities, session like pharmaceutical care plan, then the professional skill development, computer-aided learning. He also attached with the hospital and the placement workshop and tutorial, e-learning activities, flip classes, and etc. I welcome Dr. Praveen Kumar to his talk on the quality use of medicine, and I hereby request Dr. Praveen to take over the session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sachin Temurne, for giving my introduction. So before sharing my presentation, I just another 2 minutes. So good evening, everyone, and hope you all are doing well. So Dr. Sachin, you can hear my voice, right?
Yeah.
Am I audible, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can continue, sir.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone, and hope you all are doing well and coping with the current scenario with the COVID-19. So thanks for inviting me as resource person for today's international webinar that is under faculty development program organized by AISSMS College of Pharmacy, Pune. And at the outset, a tribute to a great leader, Rajashri Shri Shahu Chhatrapati Maharaj, for the founder of AISSMS. And I'm glad to present this today's topic and want to contribute in a teaching. So also I would like to thanks to all management team members of AISSMS College of Pharmacy, Pune. Also, I would like to thanks to Dr. Ashwini Madgudkar, Dr. Trupti Chitre, Dr. Mithun Bandi Wadekar, and Dr. Sachin Temurne for their efforts to organize this international webinar. So also, I'm very thankful to all the teachers, the faculty, those are participating in this faculty development programs and those online viewers, those are watching this session. So regarding today's topic, today's topic is quality use of medicine. So it might be, new to some of you, but some may had earlier this quality use of medicine. So accordingly, I tailored the content of today's presentation in regards with my today's audience and the need of quality use of medicine in India. So in this presentation, actually, I'm going to compare. So what are the things we have and what are the things we can go and move forward to adopt it for a better patient safety and better healthcare in the coming time. So I given my own opinion here. I use some literature and also my experience in from my past and what I learned from it. So I'm presenting this topic not only in consideration with the faculty, but also keeping being good human in mind. And this topic QUM, that is quality use of medicine, is not only limited to the practicing pharmacists, but it also helpful for all the health education providers or health education professionals, and also the pharmacy faculty in some sort, so they can enhance their knowledge and they can share with the students. So wherever possible, I already quoted some examples, and also I will try to quote some examples that is not in my presentation slides. So actually that will give you some insight, and also your thinking will be better and understanding will be better in that way. So this presentation is only for educational purpose and not for commercial use. So with this, I will start with my presentation. So now, Dr. Sachin, you can see my screen now, the presentation slides.
It is still not. Just I see what the window, but not exactly your presentation.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, now.
Not.
Okay, just I will stop again.
Yeah.
Okay, now are you?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
sure.
see now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I will start with the presentation now. So the topic is quality use of medicines. So this is my YouTube channel. So actually what I did in this pandemic scenario, I delivered some of the talk, and also I participated in some of the international webinar in the internationally with the keynote speaker, and also with the resource person in some of the conferences, and then the international webinar. So later you can just go through this video, and this will be helpful for all the clinical pharmacists and those are working in the healthcare industry. So what you can do, you can just have the QR code, and then you can directly go to the YouTube channel. So later you can visit and see the content. So it will be helpful for you. So coming for the presentation title. So the content is the background. So just I want to refresh your knowledge in some aspect with the clinical pharmacy aspect and also the quality use of medicine. And what is the difference in between the quality of medicine and quality use of medicine. So that we will discuss in the background. And then introduction, the stakeholders in QUM. So what is the Indian perspective as well as the global perspective here, the principles behind the quality use of medicine, and what are the benefits along with the example. So I tried to give some example here with the quality use of medicine, and then by that way you can understand this topic properly. So your understanding will be better in that way. So lastly, I want to give some message to all the participants, so that I will show it later. So this is the background. So what is the meaning? Like, some of you might be thinking like, what is the meaning of quality of medicine and quality use of medicine? So what is the difference actually? So quality of medicine, as we know that many pharmacies, those are working in industry, those are contributing in a sector of quality assurance, quality control. So by that way, how we are controlling the quality of the medicine, that we know, that is the basic thing, right? So this quality use of medicines might be some of you having the new terminology, the quality use of medicine. So this quality use of medicine particularly comes at a later time after the quality of medicine. So quality of medicine, particularly in the process of manufacturing, and quality use of medicine mainly we observe in the practice, how the physician is prescribing the medication, how the pharmacist is dispensing it, and how they are contributing in the education of patients' knowledge. So that is the most important things. And again, one of the thing is counseling. So how the patient and the pharmacist particularly doing the counseling in some disease conditions, and how the patient can improve their knowledge. That might be regarding with the use of medicine, that might be regarding the disease condition itself. So after all, we need to see the final outcome is that we need to see the quality assurance in healthcare. So these are the two components, quality of medicine as well as quality use of medicine, are most important components for quality assurance in healthcare. So we are making sure that the patient is getting a proper treatment in healthcare setup. So these are the two components very important in aspect of quality assurance. So quality of medicine and quality use of medicine further we'll discuss in the coming slides. Okay, so this is the basic difference in between quality of medicine and quality use of medicine. So as we discussed, like, the production, mainly we control the all products. Again, there is a role of government and non-government bodies in quality of medicine. So as we know that there are many the non-government body, those are also regulating the quality of the medicine. Again, if you are thinking about the QUM, the quality use of medicine, so mainly we observe in a clinical practice rather in a production. So production, we are producing a quality medicines by using a quality bulk drug. So that's why the WHO GMP, the World Health Organization Good Manufacturing Practice, they certified some of the bulk supplier, those are supplying, the drugs to the manufacturing industry. So government have role to monitor that, and then by that way we are controlling the system, that is we are talking about in India. So just I studied meanwhile in my period, in my time period, and then I'm just refreshing your knowledge regarding the quality of medicine, how we are improving quality of medicine day by day in an Indian setup, in an Indian scenario. So again, the another thing is healthcare professionals. So in quality use of medicine, all healthcare professionals needs to play a important role. It's not all about the doctors, or not about only the pharmacist, but everyone contribution is matters. So that's why how the team work here in this quality use of medicine. So coming to the next point is GMP, the good manufacturing practices. So we know that the everything needs SOP, the standard operating procedure. So in production we have the GMP, the good manufacturing practices, as well as in quality use of medicine we have lot of guidelines. So might be now with the COVID-19 situation scenario, you might be heard about there are some guidelines given by the ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research, New Delhi. So that is the one part of clinical practice guideline. Every country have the different guidelines, and later we'll see what are the resources and how you can use different resources for the improving your knowledge, and that should be the evidence base. So that is the way how we are moving forward, and then we are using different kind of evidence based guidelines, that is the clinical practice guidelines. So every country as using the different kind of their parameters, the guidelines. Again, as you know that about the recent time in 2008, the government taken an initiative to promote the generic medicine in India. So some people still they have the dilemma to use generic medicine versus branded medicine. So might be psychologically they are not feeling well, like if I'm taking a generic medicine, I won't get that type of the therapeutic effect in a pharmaceutical way how we can define. So in that case, sometime I have gone through some research, like there is a comparison of generic medicine versus branded medicine. So everyone is having the different perspective, but up to like this till date, like the we have all the data with us that the generic medicine as well as branded medicine having their own therapeutic effect, the same therapeutic effect, right? So it's not different, so they are same, but the price is different, that is for sure, right? So that's why you can see now the many essential drugs, the list is going day by day, the increase in the list of essential drug, and how our government is supporting in that way to the people have the accessibility to the all medicines. So everyone should have the equal right to take the medicines, and with the, the particular economic price. So again, coming to the quality use of medicine, the treatment outcome versus risk to benefit ratio. So whenever you're thinking about the healthcare professional point of view, so mainly their focus is a treatment outcome. So what will be the treatment outcome, and again on what basis they are selecting their treatment regimen, particularly the risk to benefit ratio. So obviously the healthcare team, they will assess first what are the risk factors for initiating any type of therapy, and what benefits particularly the patient is getting. So that is the basic difference of quality of medicine and then quality use of medicine. So that is the way how we can differentiate it. So what is our ultimate purpose is to have the patient trust as well as the patient safety. So patient safety, again, WHO, the World Health Organization, they took an initiative last year in 2019. In I think I remember in September, I think they started the initiation with the patient safety. So no patient should be harmed in the healthcare setup. So everyone should contribute. So that is the intention why WHO came up with this patient safety issue, and later they had the many campaigns, and then they aware the patient and also the healthcare professionals to get aware about their medicine, and also by that way how we can prevent the harm. So might be some of you know about the medication error. So how the medication errors will occur. So that is the simple thing, the example coming in the patient safety umbrella. So patient safety actually is the umbrella term and having lot of components inside. One of the component and the thing is pharmaceutical care. So pharmaceutical care is also important whenever you're talking about the patient safety. So as just a background, and might be like, most of you know about all the things like the Drug and Cosmetic Act. So we have the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 and also the rules 1945, and it was amended on 15 August 2013. So what is the use of Drug and Cosmetic Act? So we know that how drug will be utilized properly. So that is the guideline what we are getting in the Drug and Cosmetic Act. So I'm not going to talk much more on this aspect, but I just given the background so that you can understand the topic properly. That is the quality use of medicine. So these are all the aspects we are making sure that our product and our bulk drug will be of quality. So that's why we have all the pharmacopoeias. So pharmacopoeias, as I remember, like I think 2018 was the latest edition, that is 8th edition, right? So pharmacopoeias, we have all the information regarding the drugs, how that should be stored, how that should be manufactured, how that should be well controlled in the environment. Because you see many countries having different types of pharmacopoeias. We have Indian pharmacopoeias whenever we are thinking about the Indian scenario, right? So Indian pharmacopoeia is the pharmacopoeia, we have all the drug info in that, and likewise the other different country they also have. And then the guideline might be differ from each other because of a lot of factors, like the stability. So how we are going to maintain the stability of the drug, and the different things. So that is about the pharmacopoeia. Next coming point is government and regulatory bodies. So what particular government and the regulatory bodies, how they are having their role here. So government is having the role in monitoring of the drug, the bulk drug. So they have their tie-up with the WHO, and the WHO is granting the good manufacturing practices certification. So particularly those are manufacturing the drugs, also those are having the bulk drugs. So particular production unit, they will take bulk drug from those are certified with the WHO, that is the World Health Organization good manufacturing practice certified companies or in industries. So by that way, the government is having the role in controlling the quality of medicine. Also there are certain regulatory bodies. So one of the regulatory body is National Accreditation Board of Testing and Calibration Laboratory. So this laboratory particularly will test the batch of drug that manufactured by the particular industry, and how that particular medicine will go to the customer side. So particularly it will reach to the the scheme that is launched by the government of India is Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. So now this is the data I got from their the guidelines and then their report, the annual report. So now in India we have more than 5,000 this particular pharmacy. So those are controlled by government, and some of them the community pharmacies, those are running those community pharmacy. So that list is now more than 5,000. So this is the way how we control the quality of medicine. So basically what is the meaning here, what is the point I want to raise here is that the company should have the WHO, the World Health Organization, that is a good manufacturing practice certification, so that they will be monitored by the government, and also we can produce a quality medicine for the patient. So again with this 2019 and 20 report, the annual report that is given by the Ministry of Chemical and Fertilizers. So now they are coming with the new policy in India is called as National Pharmaceutical Policy. So this National Pharmaceutical Policy mainly dealing with the use of drug in a proper way, and the quality of drug should be produced and that reaches to the everyone. So the main focus is here is to have the generic medicine. So the basic component is a generic medicine, and then they want to have the the export of the drugs. So as we will discuss in the next slides, what is the status of the pharma industry in India. So pharmaceutical industry in Indian perspective is the pharmacy of the world. So why it is called as the pharmacy of the world? So as you may know that, the India is the largest provider of generic drugs globally. Access to the, HIV treatment, that is with the affordable price. So that is the greatest success, the stories in medicine we have in Indian setup. Again, the biggest suppliers of low cost vaccine in the world. So India is the biggest supplier when it comes with the vaccine production. So medicines are preferred worldwide. So why these medicines are preferred? Due to the two main reasons. The first one is a low price and the next one is a high quality. So that's why we discuss here how we maintain the quality of the pharmaceutical product. So what particular pharmaceutical industry contributes to the country's GDP? So it contributes around 1.72% in the country's GDP. So that is the current information with the government of India, and this info I took from the Ministry of Chemical Fertilizers and Department of Pharmaceuticals, that is their annual report in 2019 and 2020. So this is another example, like, we talk about the quality of medicine in India, but still there is a scope how we can further improve the quality of medicines. So this is I adopted from Medicines in India, Accessibility, Affordability and Quality article that was published recently in March 2020. And also this particular data is from the regulatory body, the biologicals, that is their survey done in the 2014 and 2016. So here you can see how many particular states. So here you can see all the states they particularly mention here, and then how many particular states they have a not of standard quality products. So it particularly about the pharmaceutical products I'm talking about here. So here this is the graph. So later you can, if you are interested, you can go through and see in detail about this, what are the particular states those having this non-standard quality product. So here how they mention is NSQ is a not of standard quality. So they have given the data along with the states those having this NSL issue. So coming to the QUM. So what is the QUM? So here you can see a lot of components are there, and these components are all important. So whenever we are talking about the quality use of medicines, obviously there are many components we need to think about. So what do you mean by quality use of medicine? So mainly it covers the aspect of patient safety as well as improve health outcomes. So ultimately, whenever we are starting any therapy, any treatment regimens, ultimately the goal will be improve health outcomes. So before starting the medication, there is another view is lifestyle modification. So here I just want to quote example that hypertension, the blood pressure. So if the blood pressure is greater than 140, that is a systolic, and then diastolic is greater than 90, then there is a need to start the antihypertensive medication. But before that, what comes in, that is a lifestyle modification. So quality use of medicines is not only about the medicine, but also it will be giving you idea about how we can think about other than medicine. So what are the options we have other than medicine? So directly we are not going to start with the treatment regimen. We'll think about first the lifestyle modification. So in that case, we need to counsel the patient about all the parameters that should be in the checklist. And by that way, we know about the patient in detail, and by that way we can monitor his condition. So what comes first is a lifestyle modification. So diet regimen, exercise, that also important as well if you are comparing with it medicine. And also the psychological factors of the patient. So like, in many chronic condition, the psychological counseling and the counseling by the psychology people, that is very important in some chronic condition. So that's why in quality use of medicine, we talk about the lifestyle modification, also selecting a proper medication depend on the clinical condition of the patient, what comorbidity the patient is having. Say suppose I I will have one example here is a diabetes and hypertension. So I try to give the current scenario example so that you can understand. So we have a lot of the many people with hypertension and diabetes, so these are the comorbidity. So how you're going to start the therapy, the initial therapy, and what are the precautionary measures you need to take. So that one I given the example in my later slide. So later I can discuss in detail with that, with the comorbidity. Again, the concomitant therapy. So again, if the patient is having any past medication history or medical history, so you need to think accordingly before starting the new regimen to the patient. And at the same time, the physician and also the pharmacist and all the healthcare providers, they will think about the risk to benefit ratio. So always that is the priority, the risk to benefit ratio, and also the dosage, duration of therapy, and then obviously the cost. So as we are promoting the generic medicine, that is due to the cost, and also as the generic and as well as the branded medicine having the same impact, the same therapeutic effect. So that's why the cost is also matters along with the monitoring. So in some cases, if you don't have really the option, the choice in that particular disease condition, so what you need to do, you need to monitor some parameters. In that case, that example I will discuss later. So what particular monitoring parameters you need to see in that particular disease condition. So there are different types of monitoring parameters, depends on which disease condition the patient is having, which particular medication the patient is taking. And obviously we need to think about the patient preference. So that is lacking in the Indian setup, but some still they are trying to follow that, and some they are following it. That is good actually, and that will be beneficial for our the future growth of the pharmacy as well as the medical profession. So that is very important, like the patient preference. So patient preference is also matters, as well as the family members preference in some chronic condition. And ultimately the goal will be the positive health outcome. So that's why these all terms and these all components will be important with the quality use of medicine. And as I told you earlier, this is not only the job of maintaining the quality use of medicine in a healthcare setup by the pharmacist, but it's like a teamwork. So everyone should contribute, and then only we can achieve the quality use of medicine. So what I remember, and if you are going through the literature, So quality use of medicine, this is a term mainly focused by the Australian government, and they took an initiative in 1997 and 1998 onwards to have quality use of medicine as one of the priority in the healthcare setup. So but in the Indian scenario, once you are comparing, so we need to have some, the focus on this particular area. So what are the aspects in quality use of medicine? So these are the aspects mainly dealing with the data collection. So if we are collecting some data for our research work, or might be some students are collecting the data for their attachment or clinical placement, or might be they are doing their research in their undergraduate, postgraduate, or might be in their PhD. So every single component matters, and how it matters, that we'll discuss later in the example slides. So we need to collect the patient age, sex, body mass index, so height and weight, and then we can calculate the body mass index of the patient. And in many situations, the body mass index is relevant, and especially we know that the background of diabetes patient, and how they are the obese patient, they're having the complications in their diabetic scenario. Occupation, how the occupation will be helpful to the trigger, or the just avoid the triggering factors. So some of the disease condition have the trigger, so how the occupation is affecting that. Allergy status, so some are having the allergy to some particular medicines, so that's why this component is important to take into account, that patient is having any type of allergy. So that might be the drug allergy, or might be the food allergy. So it's like the sulfur drugs allergy, or somebody is having the seafood allergy, or the list is more. So exercise, the how the exercise pattern of the patient, and accordingly you can counsel, and then accordingly you can give the advice, suggestion to the patient. So that's why these all components are equally important whenever it comes to the data collection of the patient. So what other things you need to consider is a present condition. So what is the present condition of the patient? What are the signs and symptoms at the time of admission to the hospital, or might be the patient is having the symptoms from long time, might be 1 week, or uh, more than 1 week. So in that case, what particular initiation taken by the patient, might be he took some over the counter medication or what. So in that case, you need to collect all the information, otherwise there might be a chances of getting the drug interaction or any other adverse drug reaction for that particular drug. So diagnosis, so what is the diagnosis of the patient, and depend on that we are giving the treatment to the patient. And also the medical history, is there any past medical history for that patient, or might be some surgery done for that particular patient in their earlier time. The medication history, what medication particularly the patient was taking earlier, and then what are the comorbidities he is having, or that particular patient is having. What are the traditional complementary or herbal medicine the patient is using, or the supplements. So that is also equally important. Like many patients, diabetic patients, they are taking some traditional complementary medicines, and that might be suggested by their the friends, or the neighbor, and also they are taking that without knowing the complications sometime, because they are taking their the medicines that given by the physician, and also they are taking this complementary or herbal medicine or supplements, so that sometime may cause drug interaction, and that may lead to even the serious complications. So in that case, this is very important to take care, and then take all the data, relevant data from the patients, or might be the case file of the patient. So social history and family history, some drugs having interaction with the uh, with the particular the smoking, and also with the alcohol drinking habit of the patient. So that's why the social history is important. And family history, like the patients might be having the family history of the the diabetes in case of the pregnant lady, the gestational diabetes mellitus. So in that case, it is very important to have the family history of the patient, so that the patient will be monitored in a hospital in a proper way with the proper therapeutic outcome. So ultimately, hospital, how they can improve this, and the student, how they can improve this practice by having the checklist. So they may have their questionnaire, they may have their checklist, so that they can get all the data, relevant data, that will be useful for them for their research or for their knowledge improvement. So what are those particular stakeholders in quality use of medicine? So physician, pharmacist, nurse, other healthcare providers, and the patient. So as we know that the physician needs to play much more important role, and as well as all the other relevant the members, those are in the group of the healthcare professionals. So pharmacist also playing an important role while screening the prescription, but that role is limited in Indian setup. Like what our particular community pharmacist is doing is to only dispense, but we need to go beyond that, and also we need to the screen the prescription for getting any type of drug interaction out of that particular the prescriptions. Because sometimes the one patient is handled by many doctors in a case of multiple complications. So that might be diabetic, the expert doctor, or the renal expert, the nephrology expert, and also the cardiology expert, and that's how it goes a polypharmacy. So that's how the patient is having a lot of medication, and that time there might be a high risk of getting the drug-drug interaction in between. And that is the case why the role of pharmacist is important here, to check it, the drug interaction, the possibility of that, and also accordingly need to suggest any suitable alternative to the physician. So that's why the knowledge, attitude, and practice is very important in this stakeholders when it comes with the quality use of medicine. As like the nurse is also playing a role while administering a drug at the proper time, to the proper patient, to the right time, and with the right dose, with the right route. So these are all the factors dealing with the nurse. So this is also very important to have the proper compliance, the patient compliance, as well as the medication compliance in regards with the therapy, the positive outcome for that particular therapy. So other healthcare providers mainly includes the counselor. So those are counseling in that particular, the chronic disease condition. So that role is also important in healthcare providers. The patient perspective. So how the patient is coming under the stakeholders category of quality use of medicine. So patient particularly need to know what for this medication given to me. So say suppose the patient is having asthma. So patient should know how I can use the inhaler. Sometimes the patient doesn't know. So it is the responsibility of the pharmacist to show him how to use. Okay, so it's like a mock, you can show him like how to use the inhaler in a proper way, how many times can use, how to hold the breathe, and the things like that. Same it goes for the insulin injection. Sometimes the patient is having the fear in the mind, so that the patient is not taking the insulin injection. So in that case, the patient is not having the tight glycemic control. Okay, so that is the case why the patient hyperglycemia is more and may have the future complications for the diabetes. So that is the way how the patient can participate in their own care when it comes with the quality use of medicine, right? So there are another components also coming with the stakeholders category, and that mainly what we are dealing with these stakeholders to have the proper medical, pharmaceutical, and nursing care. So our aim is to have the patient with proper medical, pharmaceutical, and nursing care. So here we monitor patient accordingly for the better patient safety as well as health. So as you know that we are using in the Indian setup, like some of the guidelines given by the Indian Council of Medical Research. If you are comparing with the all other Western countries and all other countries, those are, you know, moving forward compared to India very fast. Okay, so those countries, they have their own guidelines for each particular disease condition. So we have Indian Council of Medical Research, and now they are coming with so many guidelines with that particular disease condition and how we can use that particular medicine in the disease condition. So these guidelines will be helpful for all the healthcare professionals. Again, apart from ICMR, if you're not limiting to that, there are many other guidelines like FDA, the Food Drug Administration, given their own guideline. The World Health Organization, they have the own guidelines. Now you can see the role of WHO in, you know, uh, having mainly awareness in this pandemic situation, the COVID-19. Also, we have CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. They have their own guidelines, the clinical practice guidelines. The many countries, in Malaysia, we are following the CPG guidelines that is given by the Ministry of Health, Malaysia, and they're also actually collaborating with other, you know, the non-government body, and they are coming with the practice guideline that need to be followed by the physician, and that will be helpful for them to monitor the patient in a correct way, in a proper manner. So these are the resource material you can use in the case of improving your knowledge and just following the current practice, what going on regarding the patient safety. So whenever you are comparing the quality use of medicine with the Indian scenario, with the global perspective, so pharmacist involvement. So here with the Indian scenario, the most of the community pharmacies, they are lacking in this, the pharmacist involvement. So we need to improve the pharmacist involvement. As we see the other countries, they are having more communication with the patient. They are building a more rapport with the patients by giving a suitable feedback on their question, or might be they are having the proper patient care in that particular disease condition. So pharmacist involvement is much more important whenever we are thinking about the Indian scenario. The knowledge, attitude, and practice. So it's not about the pharmacist only. So all the healthcare professionals, those are in team. So they need to update their knowledge, have a proper attitude, and have a proper practice, and should be the professional in their profession. So that might be the medical profession, that might be the pharmacy or any other profession. So ethics, moral, and professionalism is much important whenever it comes to the clinical practice area, because it's directly dealing with the patient safety. So sometimes it may lead to the harm if we don't know what is wrong and what is right. So in that way, we need to be a decision maker. So clinical decision making also plays a vital role when it comes to the quality use of medicine. So evidence-based medicine. So might be you know about this, the evidence-based medicine. So what is the evidence-based medicine? So we are going through some literature, and then we have the evidence that, okay, these are the medication we can use in that particular disease condition. So that's how evidence-based medicine works. And again, rational use of medicine. So like, you know, in some of the country, like, you know, the antibiotic is also taken by without prescription. So that particular practice might lead to the, you know, the resistance problem in the coming time to that particular the patient. So rational use of medicine is also important in aspect of getting a resistance in the coming time. And then the patient-centered therapy. So it should be patient-centered therapy rather the product-centered. So the product is not coming first. It's not the priority, but whatever the therapy we are giving to the patient, it should be patient-centered. So you need to see the clinical condition, comorbidities, concomitant drug therapy of the patient, and by that way you can start with the therapy for that particular patient. So that is the meaning here, the patient-centered therapy. So ultimately, teamwork works in that way. So basically, what is the message here I want to give is the teamwork. So if you have the proper team and you have the proper work, so ultimately you will get the positive outcome for that particular therapy in the disease condition. So what are the principles? So actually some of the part is overlapping here and there with my previous content. So principles are also overlapping. Okay. So principles of quality use of medicine. So here, mainly in the quality use of medicine, we are choosing a proper medicine, and by that way we know what is the role of that particular medicine in the disease condition, in treating illness and maintaining the proper health. So that might be maintaining the health, or might be having the proper treatment for any particular disease condition, disorder, or that might be illness. Okay. So better ways to manage disease or disorder. So by use of this quality use of medicine, we are getting better ways, not only medicine, what I talked about earlier, but only we have the other options too. So what are the other options we can think about rather the medicine alone? Appropriate selection of the medicine. And then we can select a proper medicine in case if there is no lifestyle modification, there is no other treatment available in that particular condition. So some you know the some conditions are rare disease condition. So even though for some rare condition we don't have the medicine till date, so in that case what are the other options we have? So accordingly we need to manage. Monitoring outcomes. So we need to monitor the outcomes in certain scenario if we don't have the better option. So in that case we need to monitor the outcomes, or might be the parameters. So use of medicine. So how the patient is using the medicine. So there should not be any misuse, not be any overuse or underuse. So that is the way how you can use the medicine in a proper way. Again, next component here in the principle of quality use of medicine is a problem solving with the medicine and comorbidities. If somebody is having the problem using any particular medicine, so quality use of medicine will give the answer for it. So how the patient actually will get the answer? So as like we talk about the patient counseling. So whenever you have the patient counseling, the patient is dealing with the pharmacist. So by that time, the pharmacist will try to get that particular point and can reflect on it, and then can give the proper solution, or might be advice or suggestion on that particular problem. So that is how we can manage the problem of the particular patient. So what are the future aspect we can think about in this quality use of medicine? Is one of the thing is like the new emerging area is artificial intelligence. The another one is machine learning. So machine learning is an app, and it's coming under the artificial intelligence, and basically it's a computer program, and you can get all the data. So whatever the command you're giving, it's a simple like it's like giving the keywords, the right keywords, and then you can get the answer for your question. So that might be the research question, or that might be the question related to your study, the research study. So social media based research. So some nowadays they are doing their research by using the social media, and some even though they are using the WhatsApp group while doing their research. So that is beneficial in some sort, and also it will be beneficial to monitor the patient in that way. So it will be a, like the close monitoring in that case while using the social media. So what are the benefits of quality use of medicine? So obviously what we talk about, so ultimately we are having a proper patient safety, exploring the other options or therapy than the medicine. So medicine is not only the thing, but other options like lifestyle modification and other relevant therapies in that condition. Utilization of medicine. So how the patient will utilize the medicine. So before that, they should know their medicine. So they should know what this medication is for, and then what are the adverse effect I can get from this type of medication, what I can do, what I need to do in that case if I'm having the serious complication or serious adverse drug reactions. So in that case, when I need to contact to the pharmacy or might be to the physician, so he should know that all the basic things, so know your medicine. That is a perspective from the patient point of view, monitoring patients in a better way. So in this particular quality use of medicine, so another benefits is to have the monitoring, so we can monitor the patient in a better way, and also we can think about the patient preference and also clinical decision making. So in that a close environment, and also the face to face, the the talking with the pharmacist or to the healthcare professional. So obviously it is a time consuming process, and with the limitation of our the time, and we in the Indian setup, in the Indian scenario, so the population is the major factor, the playing important role in the clinical decision making. Okay, so we have the example later on, I can discuss later with this aspect, the cost effectiveness. So ultimately reducing the cost is one of the benefits of the quality use of medicine, and then by that way we can improve the use of generic medicine rather using all the branded medicine all the times. So increase national productivity. So by that way, having all these points into the consideration, we can increase the national productivity, also the quality of life of the patient, and that is the way how we can move forward and go and amend with our current national pharmaceutical policy, or might be the upcoming national pharmaceutical policy that is for all the healthcare professionals. So these are the actually the last part of my content is the examples of quality use of medicine. So what are those examples I want to discuss here with the quality use of medicines? So earlier we talk about the components that are mainly associated, the aspects mainly associated with the quality use of medicine. So the first point is here is a selection of the medication. So how we are going to select the medicine? So it's depend on mainly the age, the sex of the patient, and the body mass index. Also the occupation, how the occupation is playing an important role here. Dose and combination, allergy status, comorbidity, medication history, and then special population. So what is the meaning here? The special population is that the population is mainly the geriatric or pediatric, or might be those are having the some dysfunction, like the renal dysfunction, the hepatic dysfunction, or might be the pregnant women, or gestational diabetes mellitus. So that all the population will come in the class of special population. And then the patient preference, social history, family history, and use of traditional complementary or herbal medicine, and also the supplements. So how we can consider all these points in the quality use of medicine. So the first point here is the occupation. So how the occupation is playing a role in a quality use of medicine. So as we discussed earlier, we need to collect the data from the patient, right? So as we need to know what type of job particularly the patient is doing. So I will correlate with one of the example here, type of work, culture, and work-life balance, and what are those trigger factor at the workplace. So might be, the patient coming to your pharmacy, coming to your clinic, might be having, the occupation as a factory worker. So he is working in a cotton industry. So he is a newly diagnosed patient with asthma. So what asthma particularly caused, because might be the some reasons. So we need to assess what are those reasons, what are those trigger factors. Might be not a causative factor, but might be the trigger factor. So how particularly the patient will the prevent the triggers in the industry. So if the patient is working in a cotton industry, so that the patient can monitor have some prevention strategy like using the mask and the other things. So that's how the occupation also important whenever you are taking the data of the the patient. So again, another example how I can mention, so that is about the asthma. So that, the precipitating factor or the trigger factor. So you can counsel the patient accordingly, and also you can start the treatment accordingly. If somebody is having, the job, like, the IT sectors and all other peoples, those are sitting, on the chair for a longer duration, may have, the backache. So in that case, how you're going to deal with that particular patient? So in that case, you need to mainly focus their sitting position, how they are going, how they are sitting in their workplace, how they are managing their daily life with any diet or any exercise. So if they don't have any type of exercise, what type of exercise you are going to suggest them? So these all the points, come together whenever you are thinking about the occupation. There are many examples, but just I want to give some relevant, and with the time limitation, I cannot further go much in detail. So basically, the pharmacist, or might be, the healthcare professionals, need to have the proper clinical skills whenever it comes to the data collection, or also giving some suggestion to the patient. Another example here is a combination. So how the physician particularly will give a combination in a disease condition or might be disorder. So here I took an example of metformin and glimepiride. So all we know about, right, metformin and glimepiride is, use very they're using very properly, and very popular drugs in whenever it comes to the diabetes and type 2, especially metformin and glimepiride. And why we choose these two particular combination? So as we have the clinical practice guideline, we have the evidence base and many literature that suggesting that instead of starting the metformin and going, from 500 milligram to the extent of 2000 milligram in a day, rather doing that, start a combination therapy that having a dual mechanism of action. And that how you will get a dual mechanism of action, that is insulin sensitivity. So that will improve the insulin sensitivity and also the secretion. So that's how we can maintain a quality use of medication in a diabetes patient. So this is the one example I've given, I quoted here, regarding the use of the quality use of medicine in the particular diabetes. Going to the next example. So this is the actually the physician approach, how the physician should approach and how start with the particular therapy. So obviously the physician should update their knowledge in regards with the current practices, and also with the current things, the current scenario, how the things are going in the world. Another example is a comorbidity. So comorbidity, again, diabetes and hypertension. In the most of the, the country around the world, we have a lot of people with diabetes and hypertension. So might be in some scenario diabetes comes first in a patient, and hypertension later on, or might be vice versa. So it's depend on a lot of factors like family history and the other many factors. So in that case, what will be the first priority, what will be the first line treatment in those case of diabetes and hypertension? So which particular drug will be useful in those scenarios? So here, as per guidelines, the angiotensin converting enzymes or an angiotensin receptor blockers or ARB as a first line treatment. In some cases, if AC inhibitors are contraindicated, then that is the first choice is ARB is the first line treatment in those particular patient having diabetes and hypertension both together. So in multiple drug therapy, like those are having, the hypertension in a severe manner, and it will be like, systolic blood pressure is all the time is more than 140, and, things like that. And if say suppose diastolic is greater than 90. So in that case, we need a multiple drug therapy, and that how we select the drug like, diuretic, calcium channel blockers, beta blockers, or the peripheral alpha blockers. So it's depend like how the patient is coping with the current scenario, with the current disease condition. And in some cases, we required evidence-based medicine, and we need to use clinical practice guidelines for adopting this new change and starting with the proper combination with that particular disease condition. Okay, so next example is medication history and concomitant drug use. Also, I given here the example of warfarin. As you know that, warfarin is having the lot of drug interaction, like over the 500 drug interaction with that. So mainly warfarin is having interaction with the aspirin. So those are taking aspirin for prevention of any cardiovascular complications. So in future, if they want to start, the physicians start to have the warfarin with their current regimen, they need to know from how long the patient is using the aspirin, what is the dose of aspirin, and by that way, if they don't have really any other choice, so they need to monitor some parameters. So as I talked earlier, the parameters means what? So here in this case, particularly the scenario, the clinical parameters needs to monitor is INR level, the international normalized ratio, and also the prothrombin time. So if the INR is not in a normal range, obviously you need to manage the patient and you need to have the dose adjustment. Okay, so this is the way the clinical skills can be improved and how you can learn from your experience. So special population. So what is the special population? Particularly here I have given the example of diabetes having the renal failure. So the patient particularly having the having a renal failure and using the metformin. So dose of metformin should be adjusted if the renal function of that patient is deteriorated, and it's depend on the estimated glomerular filtration rate. So these are the points. The full dose is given if the EGFR is greater than 60 ml per minute. 45 per minute. So you need to give the full dose, and in some cases the EGFR is drops below 30 ml per minute, then you need to discontinue the use of metformin. So that is how we can have our clinical practice guidelines, and that is the evidence-based medicine, and this one is adopted from the FDA and the ICMR guidelines. Okay, so I think just I'm going to finish in just another 2 minutes. So patient preference. So this is another example. The good example here is osteoporosis. So sometimes we need to think about the patient preference. They don't have the habit to remember to take the drug on the same time on the same day. So sometime with the osteoporosis we have the bisphosphonate, or the example is alendronate, and sometimes the patient don't have the proper medication adherence. So in that case, there is a role of pharmacists to suggest a daily basis drug regimen or weekly or monthly. So nowadays, with this regimen, the patient can take daily drug, that is 10 milligram per day or 70 milligram per week. Okay, so that is how it goes. It's depend on the patient preference. Okay, the social history. So actually the smoker, those are having the smoking habit, the theophylline used in asthma case or in the bronchospasm or COPD. So in that case there will be acceleration of the metabolism of theophylline, and that in that case we need an extra dose of theophylline, or might be we need to change the drug. And sometimes those having the alcohol consumption habit, so they may have the disulfiram like effect with some of the drug regimen. Okay, and this is about the family history. Like we need to know the family history of the patient with the diabetes or any other the conditions with the family history origin, like cardiovascular complications, and by that way we can have the proper patient care. So this is the last example is drug food interaction is a simvastatin, atorvastatin, and the grapefruit juice. So this is about the myopathy, the risk of myopathy in the some scenario. Okay, so this is the paracetamol. As we know that paracetamol is a therapeutic drugs, like having the high margin of safety. Even though in that case, sometimes there is a chances of getting the enhanced effect of anticoagulant effect of warfarin, and also paracetamol might increase sometime the absorption of the metoclopramide and the domperidone. So these are the examples for the quality use of medicine. So these are the references I given quoted for my today's session, and that is the message I want to deliver to you, all of you, is let's contribute to the pharmacy education and research by enhancing quality education. Yeah. So sorry for the delay actually. Yeah. So with this, I will just stop sharing my presentation. Okay. So if you have any question, you can just type in the message box, or later on you can convey to me, because already it's late. I think it's how it goes, Dr. Sachin Tembure.
Yeah, it's a great information, Dr. Praveen.
Yeah.
And in the next, now I invite Mrs. Swati Kunle to take the charge to conduct the question and answer session from the audience.
Yeah. Sorry for the late once again. Yeah, because I cannot complete. This is a vast topic. It's too many things are there. So sorry for that. Yeah.
Okay. Is this Swati, madam?
Yes.
Hello.
Sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Tembure. Good evening, one and all. Before starting the question answer session, just one request to all participants regarding feedback form. So feedback form link will be there in your chat box during question answer session. So let's begin with the question answer session. First question, Dr. Praveen, is there any role of BPPI in India in maintaining the quality use of medicines?
What is BPPI actually?
What is your
question?
Can you
one participant, Dr. Praveen, one participant have asked. So actually, I also don't know about BPPI, but he has asked about this. But anyway, I will.
Because there are many long forms, so just
yes,
I want to give the right answer for your question. So just I'm double confirming. What is the question actually?
Is there any role of BPPI in India in maintaining the quality use of medicines?
Okay, so as of now, I know that I given some the government body as well as some non-government body. So there is a role of those particular bodies. The ICMR. Ultimately, they have their own role, right? Because they are coming with a lot of guidelines, right? With the each and every disease condition. So by that way, ultimately they are having the monitoring, and they're having the role in use of quality medicine, right? So it's all about quality use of medicine once it come with the guidelines, the clinical practice guidelines. Again, the World Health Organization. Okay, so that is worldwide. But whenever you're talking with the India, it's a ICMR is a main roles to play. And again, if you're thinking about some particular disease condition, then it's the association, right? So in India, as I know that there are many associations, they need to have their role in that particular framing the clinical practice guidelines. The BPPI, I'm not sure about this, the long form of this, but I suppose this is some association, or might be like government body or non-government body. And then ultimately, whenever you're framing some clinical practice guidelines and also having some educational role, so in that way, you're ultimately improving the quality use of medicine. Okay, so it might be relevant to the clinical practice guidelines, or it might be relevant to the patient safety. Okay, so the patient safety is also the broad term. Many aspects are coming in that, So it's not only related with the pharmacy itself, but there are many other, the disciplines, the professional medical, or might be the pharmacy or nursing. Those are coming under the patient safety. Okay, so I think that's all. And again, another thing is like CDSCO, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. They are monitoring the adverse drug reaction, right? So that is another component how we are improving in a adverse drug reaction monitoring, right? So ultimately we are reporting the adverse drug reaction to the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, to the New Delhi, and by that way we are improving the quality use of medicine. So that is my opinion, right?
Okay, Dr. Praveen. Actually, due to time constraint, I will take only one next question.
Yeah,
So,
sure, sure.
what is yes, sir. What is the role of Indian regulatory bodies in quality use of medicines?
Okay, Indian regulatory bodies in quality use of medicine, right? So we know about the quality of medicine, right? And now we are talking about the quality use of medicine. So again, it comes to the regulatory body, means ICMR, the same, the Indian Council of Medical Research, and the other non-professional body, or what we can say is a non-government body. So that is the right term actually. So it's a government body and non-government body. So government body, again, the CDSCO, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, how they are playing their important role in the monitoring of the adverse drug reaction reporting. Okay, and again, the non-government body, say suppose I want to highlight one example here. It's in Malaysia we have National Anti-Diabetic Association, right? So in that NADI, that is a NADI, so that particular, they are collaborating with the Ministry of Health Malaysia, and then they are framing their clinical practice guidelines for the diabetic patient. So that is not only about the type 1, type 2, but it covers all the things like gestational diabetes and all other aspects. So in that scenario, if you're talking about any other particular disease condition, so that particular professional body can help us to the government and also to the government authority. Okay, so basically it's come under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, right? When it comes to the India. And as we know that the Department of Chemicals and Fertilizers, and also the Department of Pharmaceuticals in India, they are the regulatory body in the Indian aspect. And by that way, they are communicating with the all others non-government body, and by that way they are framing their all the clinical practice guidelines. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Any other question?
thank you. No, actually, now we have to end up with the question answer session, Dr. Praveen, due to
Okay.
time constraint.
Yeah,
But definitely, I will forward all the questions to you, sir.
sure.
So all queries will get clear. Thank you, Dr. Praveen, for satisfying all queries.
Thank you.
No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. So I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. Praveet Kumar Ingre, for making an excellent presentation and making this seminar a very meaningful and interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you
Now,
all the participants. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
thank you. Now I will hand over to Dr. Chitre for the next session.
A very good evening, and I welcome all for the second session of the evening. We have eminent guest today, Dr. Vandana Patravale. Vandana Patravale, madam, we welcome you all for the session, and you are welcome every day, in fact, for all the sessions as well. I hope madam has got the message. Has she heard me? Okay. Now, Mr. Dilip